I now call the regularly scheduled meeting of the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 to order. Madam Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Hendry? Here. Commissioner Milne?
Here.
Commissioner Nicolason? Here. Commissioner North?
Here.
Chairman Bertolio?
Here. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To our audience, we apologize for the temperature in here. We lost our cooling system yesterday, and hopefully we'll have it back operational tomorrow. Chair to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. I'll second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hendry, seconded by Commissioner North. Any discussion on any resolution or contracts on there? If there is none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next item is Resolution 19-22, proposed changes in polling locations for District 1, Precinct 1 in Natrona County. The chair to entertain a motion to approve Resolution 19-22.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make motion to approve Resolution 19-22, changes in polling locations, District 1.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Milne, seconded by Commissioner North. Clerk Good, would you have a report on this?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, it was brought to my attention that the current polling location for District 1, Precinct 1 was up for sale, and they thought they had a buyer, so they told me they wouldn't be able to host us as a polling location this year, which was the Roosevelt Community Center. So with that, I looked around in the neighborhood and came across the former North Casper Elementary School on Glenarm. It is now being occupied by Wyoming Food for Thought, and they were gracious enough to allow us to use that as a polling location. So that is the reason for this change. All notifications and publication requirements have been met, and with that, I'll stand for any questions.
All right, any questions for Ms. Good? So in essence, it didn't change, or it did?
It did change. It
Okay.
changed from Roosevelt Community Center, which was the old high school, to the previous elementary school.
Okay.
So the location has changed,
Okay.
yes.
Any questions? Commissioner Hendry.
I was wondering if the candidates knew that.
Well, everything's been posted. The chairman of each political party have been notified, and it's been posted in the newspaper and on the website per statute.
Yeah, if those candidates are going door to door, they can remind people.
And Mr. Chairman, also, we did send out a written notification to the registered voters in that district and precinct.
All right, thank you. Any further questions? There being done, all those in favor of Resolution 19-22 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Is the end of our regular agenda at this point. Public comments? Anyone wishing to address the commission? Good evening, Mr. Laird.
It'll be short.
Okay.
My name is Dallas Laird. I'm from Natrona County, Wyoming.
Dallas, excuse me, we need your actual physical address for the record. Is that-
My office address is
Okay, that's fine.
536 South Center.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to ask just a couple questions. I looked at your guys' website, and one thing within your website is this. How do I appeal an assessment? And here's what it says. While the assessor is responsible for the appraisal of property in a county, it is the responsibility of the county commissioners convening as the Board of Equalization to correct assessment errors when the property owner appeals the assessment.
Is that on our site or the assessor's site?
It's yours. So because I know in the past you've said many times there's nothing you can do with some of these assessments, but this seems to indicate in your own environment that it is the responsibility of the county commissioners covering as the Board of Equalization to correct assessment errors when the property owner appeals the assessment. So, what does that mean?
I,
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
can I answer that?
yeah, Commissioner North?
There's several ways to look at that.
There always are.
No, I mean, yeah, there are. There's always ways to interpret things. The way that we were told as far as correction of errors goes is if the assessor made an error in the way that he was doing thing in his process and he wasn't consistent across the board, then that's what we could look at. And that's what we've been told by the Board of Equalization. So it is looking for errors in his process and to see that it's consistent across the board. But that's one of the few things that we can actually look at. It's, you know how words are. Different people,
Yes, I do.
Different people look at things and you can read into things, and especially simple sentences like that. But that's what we've been told. So it's an accurate statement, but it's a very limited scope as far as we can actually look at and what we can do.
Well, here's what happens, though. If somebody looks this up and sees this, it's easily interpreted that you can correct their assessment if it's too high, if it's outrageous, if it's a problem. So I don't know who developed that language and who put it on your website even, but
Well, thank you for pointing that out. We will.
yeah, take a look at it.
We'll make a
Yeah,
correction
yeah,
on that.
Take a look at it. I don't know what you mean by correcting it, but the
Well,
other,
make it more
Mathematically correct.
accurate as to
Yeah.
what we can and can't do.
so, Mr. Henry had a good report on you. There was a guy that came up and his taxes had gone through the roof, and he was having a hearing and it wasn't going very well, and you said a couple things to him, and he got to put his evidence in, and the assessor didn't want to change anything, but you felt it should be changed, and guess what happened? It got changed. Instead of paying $8,800 in taxes, he now pays $4,400, is what he told me. So he thought, he appreciated that. I said, well, if I come down to the council, I'll tell Mr. Henry that. But what that tells me is what I think is true. I think you gentlemen can stop a lot of this if you intervene a little more forcefully and let people know that you're the county commissioners and not some guys that are just rubber stamps for the assessor. Because I really don't believe that's what you are. But if you get complacent, that's what people can think. So I wanted to say that to you. Mr. Milne, the other night at the park, as you know, that speaker system wasn't working well, and you didn't know, but I have a left ear that doesn't hear well. And so I thought you said something you didn't say, and I straightened that out, and I apologize to you for that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Laird.
The other thing that I heard, gentlemen, is in this Ken Reed hearing thing. I don't understand this. The county attorney that was handling that, I don't know if this is true, this is what the gentleman told me, that he wanted the evidence that they're using against him in that hearing, but I think it's Charmaine, if I can read her name there without my glasses, told him that she wouldn't give him the eagle eye photos. And so I couldn't understand why they would say you can't have the evidence, because the statute that you all have to go by is the taxpayer remedy statute of the state of Wyoming, 3913-109. And in there it says that the assessor has to give the papers to the individual, as well as the individual has to give the assessor his papers to see how each one of them has evaluated the property. So that eagle eye information would be very important, especially the new electronic version of it. So I don't know why some county attorney would deny a citizen and a taxpayer his evidence. Now, I don't know how you gentlemen do that when you go in there. I was going to come to that hearing and listen to that, but I've heard there have been problems with your attorneys not giving people their evidence and not advising them of their rights, so to speak. So what I'd ask you to do is, even if you have to hire an outside attorney to maybe give you some insights on that statute, because to me it's really simple. When you do one of these hearings, basically they're saying that our assessment is too high. And we've gone and we've got a realtor or somebody to say, here's what we think it's worth, and the assessor disagrees. Well, Mr. Assessor, you have to prove how it is you arrived at those figures. And that's the fair thing to do for the people who vote you into office. I mean, you stand up for them. They're the taxpayers. They go in and vote, either vote you in or vote you out. But if as many as I'm hearing are leaving these hearings that feel like they didn't get a very good deal, they feel like they've been rode roughshod over some of the things I hear. So, but just seeing you and knowing you, I just don't think that that's who you guys are. I really don't. Now, you may be getting some legal advice that's maybe on a side that is a little too harsh. But you know, we all know that the more you're transparent and the more information you give these people that are our voters and our taxpayers, they're paying the salaries and the taxes and the county attorney's salaries, they need to be treated with due respect by all your employees. I honestly don't think any one of you treat them with disrespect, truthfully, but I think some people do in these hearings. Because they call me, they're scared, they don't understand what happened. This gentleman, where his hearing was this morning, one of the things he said is it was continued, but it went to the State Board of Equalization, and they sent it back to the assessor to fix it, and he wouldn't do it. Now, gentlemen, you're the county commissioners. You know? Get on your horses. It's time for beer for your horses and whiskey for your men, and time to run the county. And I know that's who you are, really. This is what should be done. You've got 2-3 ranchers on here. You've got a lawyer here who's a darn good lawyer. And I don't think you have to be taking certain legal advice that may not be in the best interest of the people or in the best interest of you all. Because I think you can solve this problem. And maybe the voters are going to solve it. Maybe they're going to fire Mr. Keating come election day. And then who knows what he's going to do here, because this commission can change. But all I want to make sure is that whatever happens, we have a commission that stands up for the people. And thank you, Mr. Henry, because I think you've been doing that for years. And I think the rest of you want to do that. But I think sometimes you take advice, and now you do have Mr. Nicolason here, who I think can read between the lines, such as the thing that you were trying to explain, Mr. North, and you did a good job of that. My thought is, though, it's pretty wide open, and it can be used in ways that you probably wouldn't like to hear about. If you have any questions of me, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I'm going to go to dinner.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right. There's no one else. Commissioners' comments. Commissioner North.
I have none tonight.
Commissioner Mill.
I don't have any either.
Commissioner Nicolason. Commissioner Hendry?
I'd really like to say something, but I'm not going to.
Okay. I just have one before you leave, Dallas. The Eagle Eye is a proprietary, Eagle View is a proprietary software package that you might be able to take a picture off of, but you can't get into it because of licensing requirements. It utilizes the 3D oblique overflight that the state flies over, and there are some privacy issues that prohibit people from actually using it. And the only thing they use that for is actually measuring houses. Instead of having to go to the house, they can actually pull it up on the computer, and it does the measurements and stuff just to confirm what's in the, already within the system, so. And anyway, with that, I have nothing. We're adjourned.